All right. So in case you've been following up with my predictions, this is what it all comes down to. This is my 12-team playoff predictions for who will be both making the playoff and winning each game, what the matchups will be, and who I think the national champion this year will be. Of course, this is probably not going to age the best, but I think it's at least pretty fun that we can at least give it a shot. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting things off with who I think will be the number one seed, I think it's going to be Texas. I think with their undefeated record that I've predicted for them, and their SEC championship win, who I have them beating Alabama, I think Texas will be the top seed within the SEC, within the playoff, not just the SEC. They'll be the number one overall team. I don't see how the committee wouldn't have them at that spot. I think from top to bottom, this team is loaded. Of course, Arch Manning, a lot of momentum and hype surrounding him. The defense returns a ton. I think that this is a team that probably should improve off of last year's record and is definitely a team that can compete for national titles. Similarly, another undefeated conference champion. For number two, I have Clemson. I think Clemson will be much improved from last year. They returned so much on both sides of the ball. Cade Klubnik is the real deal at quarterback. I think that defensively they'll be just as strong as ever with 8 starters coming in, and I think that the hire of Tom Allen at defensive coordinator is going to only make things better. I think that with the wins over LSU at home, at South Carolina, at Louisville, at Georgia Tech, and I have them beating Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game, I don't see how the committee wouldn't have Clemson at least from like a 2 to 3 seed, with them also being undefeated. So I've got them at number 2. Number 3, I have Notre Dame. I think that Notre Dame also going undefeated. They are not in the conference, so still with the new rules and the new format, it's no longer just the 4 highest ranked conference champions. It's just the 4 best teams. And I don't think Notre Dame, with an undefeated record, wouldn't be a top 4 team. I think that there are some tricky games in the schedule. At Miami's not going to be easy. A&M at home's no slouch. USC's no slouch. Maybe they could fall in a trap game like Boise State or Arkansas. But I think that top to bottom, this team is going to be really good. I think that Notre Dame has one of the best running games in the country with Jeremiah Love. Their offensive line's loaded. Their receiving core should be probably the best it's been in a long time. I think that defensively they should have some. They have some good guys coming back that should really be able to lead the way. Notre Dame's got a lot of pieces to make it even farther into the playoff this year. We'll see. Number 4, I've got Penn State. I think that Penn State, with all of what they return, is going to be a really formidable opponent for anyone. I think that they will win the Big Ten. I have them beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game as well. So I think they'll finally be able to get over the hump, and I think that just with their overall experience, just how much they return, especially on offense with Drew Aller coming back, both of their running backs coming back. Their offensive line is going to be loaded. Their receiving core was the weakness of the team last year, but I think that you should see a lot of improvement there. I think that defensively they should just be fine, especially with Jim Knowles now taking the lead. Penn State's going to be really solid, and this is probably James Franklin's best shot yet to really prove everyone. Number 5, now the teams that will get to host a playoff game in just the first round. Starting off with Ohio State, I think that they will only lose one game in the regular season to Texas and lose to Penn State in the Big Ten championship. I don't see how they wouldn't host a first round game. I think that while Ohio State probably won't be as dominant as they were last year, I don't think it's fair to count them out either. I think Ohio State with of course, Julian Sayin, a lot of just drama and buzz around him as to whether or not he's going to be able to lead this offense. I think that he will. I think that he's got the pieces and tools to work with. And defensively, they do lose a lot, but they still have got a decent foundation. And I think that with their only losses coming way back in week one and just to Penn State, who is only one rank above them, I don't think the committee would punish them that much. Number 6, I have Alabama. I'm sure a lot of people may not know what to think about Alabama. A lot of people, I'm sure, are going to say they're a top 4 team. A lot of people are saying they might not make the playoff at all. To me, I think this team is the real deal. I think that they returned so much, especially on the defensive side, that was really good last year. Maybe a little inconsistent at times, but they've got a lot of talent coming back. Offensively, I think that they should really improve. They've got one of the best offensive lines in college football. They've got a really talented receiving core. Their running game should be just fine. And maybe Ty Simpson is an experienced quarterback, but I think he's got the tools around him to where he won't have to do it all by himself. This Alabama team, I only have losing 2 games to at Georgia earlier on and in the SEC championship to Texas. So I don't really think the committee would punish them that much. Maybe not being able to host a first to maybe not getting a first round bye, but they should still be just fine. 7th, I have Oregon. I think Oregon only loses 1 game. The fact that they did not make the conference championship game, I think the committee realistically wouldn't really give them a favor for Ohio State or Alabama, but still, their only loss coming at Penn State, they should be just fine. They should make the playoff pretty easily. I think that Oregon, with what they return, it's not too much. I think that Dante Moore has some questions. We don't really know what to expect out of him, but they've still got talent. On both sides of the ball, they've got a lot of guys they need to replace, but they still have the foundation. They're still a well-coached team. I think Dan Lanning should have this team ready to roll, and maybe they take a bit of a step back, but I still think that they'll be in the college football playoff hunt. They will host a first-round game, in my opinion. Number 8, I have the Big 12 champions, Arizona State. A lot of people are going to say that this team takes a step back without Cam Scadaboo, but I think they'll be just fine. They return virtually about everyone else. They return, I think, 8 starters defensively. Offensively, they return a ton with Sam Levitt coming back, their top receivers coming back. Their coaching staff essentially entirely returns. I don't think that even with as wide open as chaotic the Big 12 can be, I don't think Arizona State's really going to take that much of a step back. And I just think that how much they bring back is really going to be able to favor them. And I think that this team will be able to make another run in the playoff. And maybe they're able to have a rematch in round 2 with Texas from what was arguably the best game of the season last year. Now the teams that still made the playoff but will have to go on the road, starting off with LSU at number 9. I think LSU only losing 2 games to Alabama on the road and Texas, or not Texas, Clemson, excuse me. I think LSU, especially with their experience defensively, they return 8 starters. This should probably be Brian Kelly's best unit yet with LSU. They return Garrett Nussmeier, who's going to be a top 10 quarterback. I think that they just simply have the tools and pieces they need to finally get over the hump and make it to the playoff for the first time since 2019, where they won it all. So LSU doesn't have the easiest schedule. They do have some tough games against Alabama, of course, and Clemson. I do have them losing those. Besides that, they've still got South Carolina, Oklahoma on the road, and Florida at home is not going to be easy either. But I still think that the talent level on this team is good, and I think that they know what's on the line. I really think Brian Kelly knows that he's going to need to get this team to the playoff, and I think they will. So LSU I have at number 9. Number 10, I have another SEC team being Georgia, who I have at 10-2, only losing to Texas and Auburn. I think that Kirby Smart should still have his team ready to go. I think that even with the questions around Gunnar Stockton, I think that he should be able to develop and get more confident over time. I think that Defensively, they should be just as strong as always. Maybe not as dominant as they had been in years past, back when they went back to back, but I still think that they're no slouch, and I think that they should be able to still vie for a national title. So Georgia, I've got at number 10, number 11. Out of the Big Ten, maybe a little surprise to some people, but I do have Illinois. I think that a two-loss Big Ten team, I don't think is going to get kept out. I think that Illinois' losses are to, for me, they'll be at Indiana and Ohio State at home. And obviously one of those teams is in the playoff and the other should be a really solid team. And I think that they've got the chance to really punch their ticket and make some noise. They return a lot from last year's roster. They have, of course, Luke Altmaier coming back. They've got a lot coming back defensively. And I think that while this team's not amazing, I still think that they've shown that they are a competitive team. And I think that with the schedule, which isn't outside of those two games against Ohio State and Indiana, there are a few other tricky games there, but I don't really know if it's going to be able to hold this team back. So Illinois I have making the playoff at number 11 and taking out Alabama in the first round. And finally, out of the group of 5, I've got Boise State coming back to the playoff. Yes, they lose Ashton Genty, but outside of that, they pretty much bring about everyone back. They have Maddox Madsen at quarterback returning. They have a lot of their top receivers coming back. Defensively, they return 6 starters of a unit that was probably the best in the Mountain West last year. I simply think that within the group of 5, Boise State is the team to beat, and I think that they will be able to have another shot to go back to the playoff. There are a few other teams within the group of 5 that have a shot to get in. Tulane, James Madison even, Toledo, Navy. It's not a shoe-in for Boise State to make it, but I think that just only loss coming at Notre Dame. I think that Boise State from top to bottom is just the best overall team within the group of 5, and I think that it will be enough with that only one loss, of course, being to a team that's getting a first-round bye. I think that will not be enough to keep them out. So now getting into the matchups and who I think moves on, starting off, I think Ohio State would beat Boise State. Boise State's got talent, and I think it won't be a blowout. But just overall, Ohio State's just the better team, and I don't think it's entirely wise to pick them to lose, especially in a playoff game in Columbus. I just don't know if it's possible for me to say so. And I do think Alabama beats Illinois. I think Alabama with just the talent edge. I think that Bryant Denny's going to be rocking for a playoff game, and I think that Illinois, this is probably going to be the toughest environment they faced all year. And like Boise State, they're not going to get blown out, but just Alabama to me is just the better team, and I think that they will be able to move on, and they will play Notre Dame in what should be a really fun game in round 2. These other 2 playoff games were a lot trickier for me to predict, but overall, starting off with Arizona State LSU, I think LSU wins it. I think that even on the road, I just think LSU is just the better team. I think that outside of home field advantage, and maybe you can argue Katie Dillingham's got a bit of an edge over Brian Kelly, LSU to me is just the better overall team. And while Arizona State's crowd should be rocking and supporting, with all that's on the line for LSU and all the pressure they're facing, I just think that they're able to get it done. I think that they're just the more talented team. Arizona State absolutely has a shot to win it, and I would love to see a rematch between them and Texas, but I just think top to bottom, LSU is the slightly better team, and I think they're able to move on to round 2. And finally, between Oregon and Georgia, Dan Lanning being able to host his old team where he was the defensive coordinator, it should be a really fun game. But I just don't see how I can pick against Kirby Smart. I just think overall, I trust him and his roster a little more than Oregon's. Oregon really hasn't got a schedule with that many top-tier teams outside of Penn State. And I think Kirby Smart will have his team ready. I think that Georgia's defense will be able to force Dante Moore into some mistakes. I think that it will be a win for the Bulldogs. And what Oregon does have a chance to win, but I've just got a little more faith in Georgia's roster. Now, moving on to round two, I do think these are the 8 best teams in the country. And I think that realistically, all 8 of these teams have a shot to win it all. But only one can do it. So, starting off, I think Texas will be LSU. I think that just top to bottom, I think they're the better team. I think that I've got more faith in Sark to make a deeper playoff run than I do Brian Kelly. I think that Texas, I think I have more faith in defensively. I think that the Longhorns are able to go back to the semifinal for the second consecutive year within the 12-team playoff. And now I also think that Clemson will beat Georgia. I know that Georgia stomped Clemson last year, but top to bottom, I've just got a little more faith in Clemson to do it. I think that Clemson has a quarterback in Cade Klubnik I have more faith in, and I think he's only going to get better. I think he's got the receivers that are really going to be able to make some noise. I think that Clemson's defense is going to be elite and should be able to force Georgia's offense, and a quarterback like Gunnar Stockton, who maybe still isn't the most confident out there, I think they'll be able to force him into some mistakes. Clemson will move on for me. Now, between these other 2 games, I think that they're probably the tougher ones to pick, but still, I think that these, while tricky, I think that there is, I've got a feeling as to who would win each. I'm sorry about that. Starting with Ohio State, Penn State, I think Penn State's able to beat Ohio State. I think that while, yes, James Franklin has struggled against Ohio State, having already beaten Ohio State for me in the Big Ten Championship and getting the week of rest, I think that they're more confident to beat them. I think that top to bottom, Penn State's just the more experienced team. Ohio State will put up a fight, but I've just got a little more faith in Penn State's roster to get it done. Then, between Alabama and Notre Dame, what's probably the toughest game to predict yet for me. Both of these teams are going to be elite and will realistically both have a really good shot at punching their ticket to a national title or winning it outright. I've just got a little more faith in Alabama, and it pains me to say as a Notre Dame fan, but Alabama just has more talent to me. I think they have the slightly better defense. I think that their defensive line should be able to slow down Notre Dame's running game. I think that their receiving core, even as improved Notre Dame should be, I think that Alabama's just got a little more I can trust. I think that even with Ty Simpson not being the most experienced out there, I think he's got a lot of tools to work with. I have a little more faith in this Alabama offensive line. I've got more faith in them overall, just the fact that Notre Dame really hasn't played a team like Alabama at this point in the season. I think that Alabama is able to punch their ticket to the semifinal. And what pains me to say as a Notre Dame fan, but just objectively, I think Alabama is the slightly better team. And I think will, in this case, move on to the semifinals. Now, starting off with these 2 games in what I think are the 4 best teams in the country. I think all these teams have an even better shot to win it all. Starting off, I think Penn State is going to beat Texas. I think that Penn State's just got the slightly more experienced roster. I have more faith in Drew Aller over a guy like Arch Manning. I think that Penn State's physical play, I think both these teams are going to be physical. It's going to be a low-scoring game. But I just have a little more experience in, I have a little more trust in Penn State's experience and just their veteran roster, and I think they're able to finally get it done. I think they're finally able to punch their ticket to the national title game. I think that they're just the slightly better team than Texas, and I think they will take on Clemson in the national championship game. I think Clemson, has the quarterback in Cade Klubnik I have a little more faith in than Ty Simpson. I think that Dabo is a coach I have more faith in than Kalen DeBoer. I think that defensively, you could say it's even between these two teams, but I still think that offensively Clemson just is able to edge out Alabama, and I have a little more faith in their coaching staff, of course, so I think they are able to punch their ticket to the national championship. And here we are between Penn State and Clemson. This would be a really fun national title game, and I really could see this game going either way. But in the end, I'm going to have to go with Clemson winning it all. I think that I just have more faith in this roster. I've got more faith in Clemson's offense. We've seen Penn State, Drew Allar can struggle sometimes. I think this Clemson defense within the playoff, I think will be the best that Penn State has faced all season. And I think that I have a little more faith in Clemson's offense, and I just have, with Cade Klubnik, I think having more of a ceiling. I think that their receivers are a little better than Penn State's. I think that just Dabo, I have more faith in than James Franklin, and it should be a really fun game and a really close one, but I just have a little more trust in Clemson, and I think they are finally able to reclaim a national title for the first time since 2019. So it should be a really fun playoff, and I'm really pumped up for the season. Obviously, again, this might not age the best, but I think it's really fun to check out how it does. Let me know what you think will happen within the playoff. Let me know what you think I got right or wrong. With that all being said, thank you all for watching, and have a great day, everyone. Take care.